Hey, I'm Ethan Smart. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Rilevera, and welcome to this 101 demo of the platform. We started Rilevera with the mission of making detection engineers' lives so much better. We want to make sure that you're not sacrificing detection coverage for detection performance. We want you to have the best of both worlds. Rilevera is actually Italian for to detect, and how we work is we plug in to wherever your detection platform is, be an API key into your SIM, into your EDR platform, wherever those rules live. What we're going to go ahead and do is right away, we'll start calculating the overall health of your detection stack. This is a big struggle we talked to tons of teams about of not knowing how healthy their detection rules are or aren't, and how they're performing over time. Some of the key categories that we look for is we evaluate the detection's reliability. Are the alerts that are being generated by this detection rule constantly being closed out as false positives? That's probably a pretty unreliable rule. Maintenance efficiency. Is this a rule where your team is constantly updating and trying to tune that rule to make it usable? It's probably a very inefficient rule from a maintenance perspective. We look at the overall alerts going up or down. Are you making more noise? Or are you making better signal? We also evaluate your detection maturity against MITRE. Now, I feel like everyone and their mother has a MITRE attack framework feature. We took a slightly different approach. What we do is we evaluate the number of techniques and sub-techniques that you could have coverage for based on our log classifier. So here's how many techniques or sub-techniques based on the logs ingested you could have coverage for, versus here's your detection maturity against that possibility. What we do is we also start evaluating the log sources and the data available to us. We can say, hey, here's your orphaned log sources, which is logs where you're ingesting, but there's no detection rules running against them. What we can then go say is either one, stop ingesting this. These are very expensive logs. Two, hey, you could send this somewhere cheaper like S3 if you don't really need to, if this is more compliance related and not really for security use cases. Or three, let's go ahead and help you implement detections so that you can increase your detection coverage. A big frustration we saw from teams is that rules break on them silently. So security teams think they have coverage against specific TTPs or different types of attacks, only to find out after a red team or worse, a compromise that those rules were broken. And these can happen for many different reasons, right? It could be that the logs stopped coming in altogether. It could be that log formats change. We identify these right away in the form of schema changes, where, hey, you're ingesting a log format changes. We can tell you, hey, this log format changed. Here's the rules that are broken from it. You need to go implement new rules on top of that. But we didn't just want to be a solution that gave you a list of problems. We also want to be your detection pipeline, own the life cycle of those queries for you. So what you can do here is you can say, hey, I want to look at my overlapping rules. Here's a list of detection rules that have overlapping. I'm going to go ahead and drill into this. In this case, here's the detection rule name. Here's the platform it's coming from. It's Sumo Logic in this case. Here's all of the different metrics that I'm able to gather about this detection rule. And it's also right next to its documentation. A big frustration we heard from teams was, yeah, I go work on this rule, but I have to document it and leave it in Confluence. By the time the alert gets to the SOC analyst, they might not have context as far as what does this threat really mean? What should I be looking for or not looking for? We centralize all of the documentation here in one place. I can look at the alerts that have been generated by this detection rule recently. But as mentioned, we also identify overlapping rules. So here's two other detection rule names, their queries. You can see they're the exact same. That creates three times the amount of the noise into the SOC unnecessarily, where it's duplicating work for them. You can make them more efficient, make sure the team has more time to focus on the right things by decommissioning those two other rules or tuning them so that they have a more specific and unique purpose. We also do versioning, right? The moment we plug in, we're monitoring for any changes made to these rules. We also have an AI agent that's evaluating any impact potentially from these changes. So if someone was to overtune a rule to a point of it being too specific or being too broad where it's going to create too much noise on the SOC, our AI agent will evaluate that. uh, evaluate that impact and then can send you a Slack message or an email alerting you of the impact of that change. At the point in time you're ready to make a work on these rules or tune them, you can work on a new draft. I'll call this one test. At that point, you can optimize this rule. Our AI, our RAG database, is trained on all the best practices from each vendors, but also industry best practices like the pyramid of pain to help you write the best possible rules. When you're ready to promote this to production, you can assign a reviewer. In this case, I'll assign this to Sarah. Our platform will automatically start unit testing to make sure that this change is going to make your SIM and your detection stack better by looking at syntax, make sure you're not creating overlapping rules, performance test it, and then ultimately assign this to review by Sarah. It'll appear in her work queue where she'll review the change, approve it, and then we'll push it down into Sumo Logic for you from there. That's it for the demo. Appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, please contact us. We'd be happy to show you a live demo or get you set up with the trial. Thank you.